Sai Ram, this week we have a lovely story from Susan Keenan. It's called He Took Your Karma.
Sai Ram. Baba has worked with me over the years, especially on opening my heart. One particular story is when I was in Puttaparthi with David and Birgit Pasek, and we were lucky enough to receive front row seats at Darshan that particular morning. So I'm sitting in front row with Birgit, and she had brought letters with her from the Sai Center to give to Swami. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden this very distraught young woman comes running down the aisle, comes directly to me and says, "Please, will you give my letter to Swami? You're in the front row and I know he'll take it from you." Well, in that moment, I hesitated because I remembered an earlier trip to the ashram where they told us not to take letters from anyone, especially if you're in front row, that people will ask. And the rule was, don't take other people's letters. So in that moment, I hesitated. My heart went out to her and I wanted to take her letter, but then all of a sudden my mind kicked in and said, this is against policy, you shouldn't do this. So during my hesitation, a gal sitting in the row behind me reached her hand out and said, "I'll take your letter." And she took the letter and sat down, and the young woman went away. What happened to me after that was that I, on the inner, got a big feeling that I had made the wrong decision. And I had a lot of remorse. And as I'm sitting there waiting for Baba, the intensity of my remorse increases. And suddenly there's huge guilt and sorrow and, yes, pain at the fact that I did not take her letter. Baba was showing me on the inner big time that I had not made the right choice. And I am sitting there at this point. Now we're waiting. We've been there maybe 45 minutes, almost an hour, waiting for him. And I am in intense pain. It felt like I was burning in hell over this decision. And as I start crying, I have inner dialogue with Baba, and I go, "Okay, Baba, I get it. I get it. I should lead with my heart, not with my head. But do you have to torture me for so long?" And with that, the energy inside of me dissipated, and all of a sudden the pain went away. And then the music started and Baba started coming out. So I had the feeling that Baba would definitely stop and talk to Birgit because she had all the letters from our center. But in my mind, there was no way that he was going to stop and talk to me. And Baba starts down the line, and when he gets two people away from Birgit, Birgit turns to me and says, "Here, take a letter." And she gave me one of the letters from a center member to give to Baba. I still didn't know if he'd stop and take it from me. He comes to Birgit. Of course, he stops and he talks and makes conversation with her and says, "Oh, you're from the Atlanta Center." He takes the letters, and then he comes and stands in front of me. Well, of course, my mind just goes blank. No thoughts. And I'm holding the letter from the center member, and the way I'm holding it in my hand is with the envelope extended so that only the very tips of my fingers are touching the envelope. And the reason I'm doing this is because recently Baba had given the message to all the centers that we were no longer to touch his feet, we were not allowed to touch him, and to be mindful of that. And I was showing him after my last transgression that here I'm doing it right, and I'm holding the letter out, so there is no way that I can accidentally touch him, make contact. And of course, here I am back in my head, right? So I hold out the letter, and he takes the letter from me, and how he takes it, he puts his hand just above my wrist, and he drags his hand along my hand, and he takes the letter. So very obviously touching me. Well, then he moved down the line, and the women behind me were all excited, and one of them reaches over me and says, "He touched you, he touched you. Do you know what that means?" And I said, "No." And she said, "He took your karma, he took your karma." Well, I don't know if that's true, but this is the story and how it happened. And I just was so grateful and in bliss to have had interaction with him and to be that close to him. And I knew the lesson was that he made me feel such pain so that this lesson would be imprinted on me forever. And I certainly would think twice about ignoring my heart. Sai Ram.